What if cancer is not all that bad? We call it malfunction. What if cancer cells are doing exactly what they're supposed to do? It's just out of context. There is a scientist called Michael Levin. He started this experiment where he took a group of frog skin cells separated from the frog and put it in an environment and see how they react. So the thing is, these are skin cells. They don't have an organism on top to act as a skin cell, or there is no organism attached to it to direct what you're supposed to be doing. But ultimately, all they know right now is they're a group of cells in an environment. Now they're starving. And the funny thing happens there, they collect themselves into a tiny ball, and whatever the hair-like structure that the frog had on the skin started moving like a mobility, like a Sicilium, and it started finding food within the environment, started looking for the food within the environment. So what does it entail? It started trying to survive by itself when it is taken out of the body. It itself became kind of an organism. Here is the standard story everybody talks about. Cancer is a mutated, malfunctioning cell that divides uncontrollably and it becomes a tumor and it is dangerous. We have to cut it. But that's not the story. So the cell is not an individual unit. It is like a person in a society. So there are different individual cells. So they come together as a group in a particular organ, do a particular task. So they are communicating constantly together that we are the cells, and in this particular part of the body, this is our particular function. And this is what we are supposed to be doing. And how do they know? They communicate with each other using exosomes and extracellular vesicles. And here is the thing. When they stop communicating, what happens? If a cell either start communicating or stop receiving the messages or start sending the messages, what happens? It becomes lonely. So it forgets its own function and it doesn't know where it belongs. And what does it do? When there is no group of cells to work with, but it is still a living cell, it has to survive. And that is where the problem is. That is the origin of your cancer cell. It is not a bad cell, it is just forgotten what to do. And this kind of explains what puzzled, oncologists for decades. So what do they do generally whenever there is cancer? Either they try to cut it out or they bombard with radiations, they give a lot of medicines. So what they try to do is ultimately try to kill the cell that is technically forgotten what it is supposed to do. And any organisms, whenever there is an attack, whenever the stress is applied, what does it do? It figures out a way to survive in other way. So what exactly all the cancer treatments and the radiations are doing to the cells is trying to kind of teach them a different way to survive, and it's not effective. And this is where we need to figure out a way to understand cancer differently. Instead of killing the cells that are lost their way, we need to figure out a way to re-establish the connection between the cell so that it identifies what it is supposed to be, what the group of cell it is supposed to be, and what it is supposed to be doing as a part of the body. The thing is, this particular kind of cells always come out in our body. Not just in my body, in your body too. But why don't we have cancer? Because we have something called as immune system, who are patrolling all the time, identifying these cells and killing them every now and then and making sure where they belong. And this is where body has this a very thin balancing act. If the autoimmune system of the immune system doesn't able to differentiate between healthy cells or not a healthy cell, or the cell that has lost its way or the cell that is part of the particular system, then it's going to start destroying all the cells. That is where you give birth to autoimmune disorder, where body is attacking its own cells. So there is a very thin balance that body does on every single day to identify not going overboard with your immune system, at the same time not ignoring everything that causes cancer. Rather, this particular act happens all the time and it gets right pretty much most of the time. That gives rise to this particular life we call survival. And this is the miraculous thing that is happening in your body and day to day. And this is where scientists are progressing in the field of cancer. It is not just killing the cells that are growing in a different part of the body because they have lost their way. Let us figure out a way to communicate what is the root cause and how to re-establish this connection so that instead of killing our own cell, let's re-guide them. Just the way cells lose their connection, people do that too. So remember, next time, whenever you feel you lost your way, just establish your connection with your people. It's going to be all right. We'll talk again.